Hi everyone and welcome to this video. This is the first video of our 15 days of DevOps playlist and the title for this video will be SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle. And why this is important? Because it is the most common and important concept out there if you are a tester, developer, DevOps engineer, network engineer, QA profile. Everybody who is in this space should at least have an idea about what is SDLC. And this is also sometimes asked in your interviews. Quite common and basic, but we will do our best so that you can understand it in a very simpler manner, and once asked you can simply deliver what is SDLC in detail. So let's start with the definition, software development lifecycle, as we have covered. Now think it in this way. Any company who is creating a product, who is developing a software, they need to do it in certain standard way, and that standard way to design, to develop, to test the product is called SDLC. Every company follows that. Let me just write it down. So it's a standard way of design, develop and test. Using these three things, building a high quality software and deliver it to the end user, the client. Cool. So that's SDLC in very basic terms. There are different phases of SDLC, how the product is built from scratch. But before that, let's try to take an example of a company. Suppose we have this company name, let's say abc.com. Okay, so consider they are an e-commerce company. Cool. So an e-commerce company, they already have a catalog for men, women. Now what they want to do is they want to expand their business. They want to sell the clothing, to sell the accessories, to sell the baby product for kids. Now how things will be developed from the scratch. Now comes the phase of the different phases of SDLC that we have mentioned here. First thing, let's say the company have decided that they want to create a kids catalog, and now how will things proceed to create a kids catalog onto their live application, that is e-commerce, abc.com. Okay. First thing that will happen is planning. What does planning mean? Planning means that someone from the IT team or from the organization will be collecting or gathering the exact requirements of this service. The exact requirement means whether we are creating a kids platform for 3 to 6 years of age, whether we are creating it for 6 to 9 years of age, and what else we want in our platform. Every requirement. So the first step is gathering requirements. Okay. So here we gather requirements. The first step is done. Then what we do the defining part. What does defining do? Defining is, now you have gathered the requirement, now you want to document each and every requirement in the form of official documented way, so that the software team who is going to build it should have a clear-cut instruction of your requirements. Cool. That's the defining phase. So in the planning phase, mainly the business analyst and the product managers, these guys usually do the requirement thing. And then the defining phase where we document everything in detail for the software team. Okay. Now moving to the third part, the design part. Now what does design part do? Design is that you must have an architecture ready for your kids platform. Okay, and architectures are in two ways, be it HLD, be it LLD. First, somebody would be senior role or some architect will be designing how the high level will be for your application, the kids platform that you are building. What are the systems, how you are going to scale those systems, how will you design the highly available systems. First, the HLD part is done in the designing, then the LLD part, which framework will you be using. If the company is proficient in Java, if the company is proficient in MERN, what else should be chosen as a tech stack, which database you guys will be choosing. So that's all the designing part. Okay. Now third, designing is done. Now comes the building, testing and deployment. These three parts, building simply means developing code, that is writing code one by one. These three are very important from the perspective of any DevOps engineer. What happens in these three? Let me write. Building is simply a developer will be developing an application. Then he or she will be pushing the code to GitHub or Git. Then in the testing phase, somebody from QA team will be deploying it over a server, and then these guys will be testing the code, the kids platform that we are building. Then finally the deployment part, this will be deployed in the production. Production is simply the live, the end user, the client that has ordered this feature. Okay, so this is how the SDLC works. First planning is done, then defining, then designing, then building, then testing, last is deployment. So if you have understood this much, so what's the role of a DevOps engineer is all this. I have mentioned the role. So what's the role of a DevOps guy in all this thing is he or she automates the second part of this SDLC, this part. Okay, they can take part in this as well, but that's the main part they are involved in. They make sure that this building, testing and deployment are done in a very quality, in a very quick and automative way. Anyway, there is a repetition. DevOps engineer make sure that these three phases of SDLC, they are done in a very smooth manner. So guys, that's all about SDLC. I am sure that now you are clear with each phases. You can find the different diagrams over the internet, but that's the gist of it. Also, you might find the term agile as well. Agile is nothing but just doing things in sprints. Like if you do not have clear requirements of something, you start developing the application even with the non-clear requirements. Then when the requirements is clear, you build that part. Okay, so agile is also, you can say, the successor of this SDLC. I hope SDLC is now clear. Hi guys, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you understood a lot from this video. Stay tuned for more content on DevOps and cloud.